Let's see, I don't have an agenda in front of me, but there's not much on it, other than I was just asked if we could do a roll call. That we're all here.
Mike had, Trustee Hunter.
Trustee Schwartz. Mayor Smith.
Trustee Jack. Trustee Stelter.
You need me? Administrator, treasurer, secretary.
It's for the public record.
Thank you. We have a quorum, and we're working.
Well, you don't need a.
You don't need a quorum. We're just here with Bill.
Just in case you did, you'd look good for a quorum later.
Yes, okay. Take it away, Administrator Wynn.
Okay. So this is an updated budget based on what we talked about the last time it was presented. I did add some things. I did want to include the SWOT analyses for each department. So those are included in this packet to show what guided the budgeting process and where we're at. This is admin. I don't want to go over this in great detail unless you want to, because I've already done it in a staff report or a town administrator report. Streets, parks, and recs, police department, water, wastewater, trash. Oops. Okay, and now this is where it starts becoming big. This page in your packet, your agenda packet, as page 10 is capital improvement requests. You'll see that a number of these don't have values in the administration department. The reason for that is they're dues and subscriptions, they're not capital costs, but Sam wanted to make sure that I had them included in the budget. So that's why they're there. Like your CMCA dues, your IIMC dues. So those things are included. She did ask for a chair. It's under $1,000. For Ruben, okay. Law enforcement. So MDTs, those are mobile data terminals. Those are actual laptops for police cars. Each one of the new squads that we have that we purchased from Olathe has a stand to take a laptop. We use Stillman as our records management system. It's all very digital, but we don't have laptops for officers. So we'd like to buy some in the upcoming fiscal year 25.
How many you're going to get?
Matt, do you know how many this was?
Six.
You get 6 for $10,000?
I think so. We probably will not be purchasing the traditional like Panasonic Toughbook.
Yeah.
That's probably, we'll go a little different route because.
We did find some,
Yeah.
like Asus, they do like a tough book, but instead of it being $4,400, it's like $900. Same heavy duty hinges, good speeds and things like that we're looking at. So, and then also security cameras. So this is the police department share of security cameras. This is back parking lot, hallway. I think one in here, was it one in here, Matt, in this room? One out front, and then also in the, I need to add that to this, but I did put it in the budget. Also inside the cashier's room, one that's up top looking down over the cash register, as well as outside. So we need a bad.
So this is not like in the movies where there'd be a TV screen with each camera.
Could be. So, yes.
That's, I guess what I'm asking. So where do the images go?
Well, so now it's cloud-based. So we log into the software system and we're able to pull it up. So it's all housed, the one that we're looking at is Verkada, and it's all housed on site in their server farm, whatever you want to call it. That houses it. Do you remember how many days?
Depends on which plan we get, minimum or at least 30 days. But that's where part of the cost comes from, is housing it, storing everything in the cloud versus the older systems would store everything on site, which we would have to have added server. Yeah, we'd be responsible for that.
And then this is also not just for this building, but it also the cost that we got from Verkada is also for the water plant, the wastewater plant, and the parks. Was it 3 in the park?
Yeah. Yeah, it's all right.
One at the,
There's one in the pavilion, there's one looking towards the skate park, and then, one kind of generally around the Ellen Smith Memorial Center there. Or no, one down at the gazebo.
gazebo.
So I was looking at the previous session and are all the cameras what is presented at the very end of that agenda
Yes.
packet? So we don't have it in front of us tonight, so I don't know that we can talk about it, but could you reinstate it for the next agenda packet so it can be back in front of us? Do you all know what I'm talking about? We didn't get to, so at the last meeting, we didn't get to CEBT really, we didn't get to the salaries, and we didn't get to SURSA, and we didn't get to these cameras, which are being budgeted. And I kind of would like us to be able to go back and discuss those pieces of the previous agenda packet that didn't get in, just from my perspective. But I know we'll have to put it in another agenda
We can
packet.
talk about it tonight, it's workshop.
Can we?
Yeah, it's workshop
Okay.
budget.
All right, well then, okay.
So let me go, I just downloaded it.
Yeah, I'll pull up that last one. It's October 22nd. Work session. Am I the only one who's interested in this?
No, I wouldn't actually.
Okay. And I say maybe we come to that, however you want to do it, Stefan.
Let's go to it now.
So the cameras start on page 72 of 77.
Why was it wasn't on the 22nd then, was it?
It was, yeah, it was. Budget session, October 22nd.
This packet doesn't have it on here.
What page did you say?
The one I'm seeing is page 72. It was the tail end of that agenda packet.
Oh,
And it's the work session agenda packet, not, sorry,
Oh,
it's the work
sorry,
session
okay,
packet, not the
okay.
agenda packet. Sorry, I
All
misspoke.
that time, that's right.
did we go through the SIRSA, like insurance stuff? Because I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, I don't think we did, because I went back and listened to the tail end of the video, and we had gotten through the budget tables.
Here we go.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, 72.
Is that too far? I think I'm more in the third week,
Are you in the budget work session?
and from October 22nd.
Yeah, page 72, go all the way to the end and scroll up.
Oh,
I
you
think
mean
you're
to
in the
look at
agenda
You're
packet.
looking at the cameras. Is
Yes,
this- Oh, I
that's
was
in,
thinking.
that's in the work session
Oh, yeah, yeah,
packet,
gotcha.
sorry.
I'm with you,
So
sorry.
this is the camera, you know, that we're talking about. What it's showing, that we're be putting in, one camera at the main building at the Lamburn, water treatment plant. Then there's an influent building, that is, where is the influent building?
This is for wastewater, it's on the far end, of the ponds.
Okay, so that's the place that so this isn't Lamborn, this is our wastewater plant. The main building is where they have their lab, and then the influent building is where the bathroom is, where that screen is, that bar screen. Water treatment, that's the Lamborn plant. There are, looks like two cameras. One indoor outdoor fisheye, and then an indoor mini dome inside the plant itself. Town Park has one indoor outdoor fisheye, an outlet bullet camera, and then an outdoor multi-sensor camera. And so I want to say that one was going to be right here. One at the teen center facing, that orange is actually supposed to be on the other side. One at the pavilion, and then one at the gazebo. Town Hall, this is the one where, that I explained earlier, this is where we have two, one out front facing the front, one out back facing the parking lot. There's exterior, and then two indoor, one over by the PD and then one in front of, facing down at the cashier's desk. I think that was it for the cameras. We're budgeting about $50,000 amongst all the different funds for them. And then there will be an annual cost with them for to be able to log in remotely and check all of our check what's been recorded.
How come only the capital expense for law enforcement shows up here?
Because I haven't put it in for everyone.
Oh.
So that's coming from ClearGov, but when we get down into the actual into each budget line item in the workshop packet for today, you'll see under capital outlay, each one of them has this budget.
That's a good question before you move off of the first table or I'm now in tonight's packet,
Yep,
page 10. So what is listed here in this table, are those the capital costs, the things that the department heads want to buy? Are we going to see more?
this is what they put in for this year.
So
That's it. No, knowing what hasn't been included is the Fifth and Grand realignment project, but that is in the actual spreadsheets. The water tank relining project, not in this, but in the actual spreadsheets. And then also Western Loop realignment as well.
And I've got a question. The bid date on this was August 20th, and it said good for 30 days.
We're gonna have to go out to this. So this is, we needed something for budgeting
Okay.
purposes. When we do this, we're gonna have to go out to bid.
Get through it.
Yeah, we
Competitive bids. Okay.
Yeah, in accordance with this policy manual waste terms, so.
and at a work session, can everybody just speak up?
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody just speak. Don't wait for me. Thank you. Oh, we have a question in the back.
I'll point out as well that you'll see that law enforcement, public safety are both on there. The public safety items were budgeted for this year. The vests, as you know, we've already purchased 5 of those. We're only waiting to purchase 1 vest. And then the red dot systems, that'll be a this year item as well. So those won't be for 25. But the reason they're in there is because they were used for capital budgeting last year and they're not completed yet.
Did you want to go over the insurance from Sursa, from the last one?
Well, in terms for a matter of timing, what do folks, do you feel like we should look at what's in tonight's packet as a priority and then see if we have time to go to the others? I just, because I don't have a preference.
Okay, I'm happy to answer any questions you have on insurance. That's why I went, because it all is reflected within the actual budget document, so.
I might ask one question. If you could just say, what is the average pay raise that is in
It's
the?
It's 5.7%.
And then I had one, if I'm overriding myself here, I'm taking it. So in the Sursa list, that is in that previous meeting's packet, I was kind of curious. This had come up before. I was curious about,
Can I just ask one question about
yes.
raises, what
Yeah.
yes, were there? Can you give me the range? Like, if 5.7 is average, what's the highest and what's the lowest?
Yes, hang on.
Sorry.
no, good. It's all good.
I don't know if I have a percentage, but I definitely have an amount.
Okay.
Okay, so this is You won't see this one.
Oh, okay,
This is an internal document, as is. Let me pull it up here. This is this document. Oh, can't see it.
Is this that amazing spreadsheet you did last year?
Yeah, so this is the spreadsheet that I use to look at salary increases overall. Let's see, how did I do this one? Okay, so for example, Matt, if you look in that, I don't know if you can really see it or not.
We do have your other table, the columnar table you were just showing.
You aren't gonna get it from here.
Okay.
So if you look at, whoa, okay. If you look at this top line up, so where it says f of x, that says equals, so that 1.08, that's an example of Matt's, it's an 8% increase. I think one of the largest ones comes from our sergeant, Garrett. Oh, and I didn't do his, let's see, do this one. Sorry, we're doing math on the fly, guys. So this one looks, so Matt, or Garrett it's actually 19%, but that's not where he's at right now. So we split that. He got a merit increase this year, and then the balance of that is for going to 25. What did we do? Was it a 7 or 8% this year? And then we're doing the balance of it going into 2025. And these to get him at that number brings him to about the average of our average when we looked at different communities, which was Kersey. Was it Kersey or Keensburg? It was Keensburg. And let me see. I'm gonna have to stop sharing. Here we go. So you can see their sergeants, they start them at 92,000.
In Keensburg.
This is Keensburg.
And are they an anomaly for cities that size?
There are a lot. So what we're finding is that for sergeants and for chiefs, Matt, on average, a chief for communities our size is about 114,000. So we're trying to get everybody incrementally there. While we did give an increase going to 24, it was it didn't even get us into the average. It got us pretty close, but it wasn't quite there. That's why we're proposing a 5.7% increase going forward. But Garrett's was probably the highest increase. We did increase like our starting salary for water, that water operator that's still sitting open, a minimum of 52,000, and that's untrained, right? That's somebody that's ready that meets all of our skills, required competencies, so that we can get them trained to take the exams. It's just the reality that we're in. That position has been published all over the place at governmentjobs.com. We've done newspapers, it's on our website, and we can't even get qualified people to apply. It's pretty rough. So that's kind of where we're at.
If I may, I'll point out in his defense as well, and his support more. Even at that raise, more than likely makes you the lowest paid sergeant in Delta County patrol.
With his time and grade especially.
Say that again.
With his time and grade and his time here, that's something we have to look at too.
Right.
So while we don't, right, while we don't necessarily compare directly to our surrounding communities, given that we have 2 sheriff's departments in Madison County and Delta County. Those are the organizations that we are surrounded by. So that goes across the board. That's with admin, public works, water, that's everything.
It's not 52, we bumped it up from 52 to 55 starting. So just, we're trying to fill that position. We need somebody. It's part of the requirements of lifting our water moratorium. It says that we're staffed. We are responding to leaks from the time that we're notified of them to the repairs, about 24 hours on average, which is incredible. Going back from like 8 weeks before toward 24 hours, that's a good turnaround. But we still need that one more person to cover that. One of the things that we identified right now with some of the training that we're sending people to, we're doing the positive employee training offered through One Delta County. It's been phenomenal. The things that we're hearing come back about how our employees can, communicate with each other, what they're learning about themselves, and they've identified somebody who's ready to become a supervisor in the Public Works Department. So that's what this budget also proposes. That proposes Matt Taylor to move from a laborer general public works to a public works supervisor, running streets, trash, that kind of stuff.
Is that in this table that we had in the last package?
It is,
Page
yeah.
27?
So let's see. What we have here is- I don't know if I changed the name yet, but he was in general public works. There it is. So on page, I don't know what packet it is, but page it's this one right here. Let me see if I can highlight it.
Water operators on page 47.
Water operators.
Yeah, and it's got the public works director, deputy, water operator.
Go to the next page.
Okay.
It's that one that's a labor general public works PW. That's Matt Taylor, and it's a 56,612.93.
And that is the salary to put him in that new position.
Supervisor position, correct. Yep. Oh, I'm sorry. He's the one just above that. So it's on the last page at 56,000. This one below is actually Rodney. He's just tenured. That's why his salary is so high.
It was 56
56 even.
on the bottom of page 47.
Correct. Yep. Mhm.
So are we just missing one employee?
We're missing 2.
Oops.
So the other one is, so that we're missing the water employee, but if you also go down to laborer general public works, it's on that second page at 52,000. That's just a laborer. We do have a position open. It was filled with, was that Coxwell? What was his name? Who was it?
Coxwell.
Yeah. He was here for 2 weeks and then went back to CDOT. So he came from CDOT, went back to CDOT. What we have to make sure is that whoever applies for this realizes they will be throwing trash, right? It's integral to this position.
That was actually Rice.
It was
Rice.
Rice. Okay, Caleb Rice. So that we have 2 positions open, and yeah. This one also contemplates moving Morgan to full-time from part-time. And then she's really going to dive into being a utility billing and permit clerk or coordinator. She's going to hit that hard. So we do have training next week on the new community development module for Cassell. So all of our building permits, all of our permitting system, everything will be going through that module, and she's the front line. So instead of having boxes of paper records and really crummy applications, Cassell will actually has an application that's ready to go, and then also offering actual permits, and it will all be digitized. So we will have a digital record that at the end of the year, when the county assessor's office asks for it, I can print a report and say, here's all the properties that got a building permit in town, and here's the estimated cost of their renovations, which also helps our property taxes. So it's coming, but so this budget does contemplate those things. I want to say, my salary goes from 118 to 125. Clerk, it gets her to closer to where other clerks are at 70,000. This also does contemplate Kaja Bowman going from staff accountant to deputy treasurer, and then paying her for those responsibilities. She's already doing those responsibilities. She actually has exceeded my expectations for what that position could ever have been. So it just makes sense to get her towards that department head.
So that's not actually shown here,
It is. No,
the future.
it is, the salary is, not the title change.
So which one is hers?
Staff accountant. It's on that first one. First page.
I'm on page 48. I need to go to 47.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And then this also adds an allocation for hers to be paid 25% out of general fund, water, sewer, trash. So the majority of her time is spent on water, sewer, trash. It's just the way it is. I heard her today having to explain to someone, you aren't the only one that got this letter. We need to verify that you are the owner of this property. So she deals a lot with the policy that comes out. She's that front line that has to explain, no, this is our policy. So, Public Works Director gets Corey closer to 82,000, so it's 81,500, 2260. And that is more in line with what other Public Works directors are making. He's still on the lower end, kind of like Matt is, but it's still an incremental step up. This also does change fixed allocations so that the enterprise utilities are getting hit more than parks and streets. He spends a lot of his time in water and trash. Nikki, this also contemplates a change for Nikki as well as Deputy Public Works Director with fixed allocations. Again, I'm seeing more of her time being spent in water and wastewater, but then probably an equal amount between streets, parks, and trash. The way they've divvied up responsibilities is pretty good. They get things done. They need another supervisor though, actually in the field. So the one water operator that also has trash at 10%, that's Jordan. He's the one who's well on his way to becoming our ORC, and that's why you see him getting paid a little bit more than the Deputy Public Works Director. He's paid for the licensure certifications that he has, but he also runs trash truck. He's got a CDL, so not only does he have the water license, the wastewater licensure, but he also has a CDL. So he's paid appropriately for that. The water operators, that first one is Derek, so that's why he's at 56,612. He's got going on 3 years with us, and has earned his licensure while he's been with us. That's why he's higher than while we're trying to start somebody new. The laborer water, I can't remember who that's tied to. It may be Dennis. I think it is Dennis. Dennis is our longest tenured employee. That's why you would see that at 56,612. And he's not an operator, but he does a lot of work out there. So, and streets. Let's see, labor parks. This is Cole. So Cole is our parks guy. That's why he's paid parks, street, and sanitation. He also throws trash. He does not have a CDL. He's throwing trash on the back of the truck. Labor solid waste, I don't remember who that one is. But that was that 5.7% increase. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's Matt. It's Matt Taylor. That one's going to change to supervisor. Labor or General Public Works. So that is Rodney. And he spends a lot of his time in sanitation or trash. He's the CDL driver. He's typically the one that you see driving around town, driving the trash truck. But he also gets out and throws trash. He'll also hook up to dumpsters and throw those as well. Labor mechanic, that's Clint. He does all of our oil changes. I think he's been doing it for your fleet too, Matt. So been working on iWork as well. So as things get done, it's being recorded in our software so that we can be doing tracking, materials that we're using, things like that, when it's time for new tires, all of that. Clint's pretty good at that. There's a few things he can't do that we have to take out. Most of it is related to hydraulics. So like if we're doing, like a trash truck has a dumper that might go out, we got to take that to somebody else to look at hydraulic stuff.
So when the mayor and I review the finances every other week, I'm always just impressed to see like, okay, we just bought struts or shocks or whatever. I'm like, sweet, we're doing that in-house.
Yeah.
That is just awesome.
Yep.
And even just to reduce the amount of downtime for having these vehicles not be operatable. So it's great.
And we're tracking it too. So that's what that whole iWork program was for. I think I don't know if it helped inform what needed to go on the disposal list, but it's certainly on there. Because we had a lot that just had to go. That's what you'll see in your next meeting. Again, I talked about Matt as police chief. I'm telling you, when we were looking, the average was $114,000. So we're getting a hell of a bargain. It's like going to Ollie's discount store. The clerk, so that's Joanne. She really needed to be bumped up for what she does. She's also the police mom. But really what she does is everything that comes to that front desk, she takes care of. She's a notary. She also helps provide backup when I got, when we need everyone up front, she'll come up and run that front desk as well. So she's well-versed in everything. That's why she's looking at finally being closer to that average. I think that average is closer to 60, but she's at 52. So police sergeant, again, that's Garrett. We got to bring him up or we're going to lose him. I not that he's looking, but I'm really worried that we're going to lose the staff that we've built, this team that we've built, trying to get them closer to where, that 90,000 mark is trying to get them up there. That police officer, that first one, that's at 60,000, that I believe it's either Thomas or Brad. Thomas. So Thomas is being brought up to 60,000. We're still at below average. So we're trying to get closer to that average cost of police officers. For the guys that we have, I think we're paying them low, but for the guys that we have, we're doing pretty good. We've got really good guys that really they could be doing a lot more somewhere else. That investigator, that's Pat. So he's our longest tenured officer, I think.
Second longest with the town.
Second longest with the town. So Dennis and then Pat. That's why he's at 67, 935.50. This other one at 60,000 is Brad Bardesano. And again, I'm worried about losing these guys, but 60,000 seems to be, I think that's where they're like starting officers to go, send them to training, post-training. So these are people that don't even have the certification that other departments are starting them at this.
In Delta County?
In Delta County. Yeah. And then if you remember the municipal quarterly, we were asked to stop raising police salaries. If we could have a pact, we're like, no, you guys are way higher than us. We got to catch up. So sorry. The SRO, that's Caden. He's at 65,000. I don't know what Matt's planning to do with ranks or anything, but because he's an SRO, that's why he's looking at that higher amount. He is integral to PK8, and he's trying to get his way into NIFSIS a little bit more. but they're pretty hesitant. It's just the nature of the school. Okay, and that was it for PD. Office assistant part-time, I have budgeted higher than normal for this one, but this would be like Candy or hiring. So Candy's only here on Fridays, but this would also be hiring like a part-time person throughout the week that can help with filing and things like that. I need Candy here on Fridays. I personally need her. She's the one that does things like this for me. But then she's also going, she doesn't know it yet, she's going to be integral into making this community development module active. She's going to take all of our historic permits going back to the 50s and digitizing them, attaching them to properties. She's good at that, so she can do that. I'm just going to have to be really prescriptive with my instructions. So, but I think that that's going to be a really good project that if I were to hire somebody else to do that, to do some of this stuff with, what do they call it? Integration, implementing an integration for software. I mean, this is $50,000-$60,000 just to do this kind of stuff that she'll do when she's here and attach it to property records, which will be really good because when I went to buy my home and I looked for property records, it was pretty rough. I don't think they even got the extensive remodeling that they did. They certainly didn't get a building permit for. Found that out. The last building permit, I think, was from 1980, and it was for windows that have also been replaced since then. So it's all important for maintaining our property tax base, right? So as people do renovations, you're supposed to give that to the assessor's office annually so that they can adjust what they've got. So the city of Delta doesn't have to worry about that because they have a Walmart, they have a McDonald's, they have a Little Caesars. They got all of this big sales tax base that they don't have to have property tax because of all their sales tax. They're all their sales tax revenue. We learned that the municipal quarterly too.
I didn't know if that was because they were a home rule. It's just because they have enough revenue.
They have enough revenue that they decided they don't need property taxes. So
That would be something.
yeah.
Huh.
Let's see.
Well, I guess they don't do local tax.
Who, the city of Delta? No, they do a local tax. Oh, you mean a property tax?
No, they do sales tax, but
They don't do
No.
property tax.
I thought the county.
The county does, right? So if you're in the city of Delta, there's no city of Delta property tax military. You've still got your taxing districts like the school and the fire district and all that stuff, but you don't have that. So Cedar Ridge is different though. Let's see, utility billing permit clerk. So this is Morgan bumping up to a full-time position. And so this budget also recognizes, and I showed you that big long spreadsheet, I have it down to cost per employee by fund. And so I can tell you that in the admin department, I might cost $40,000 with my salary, benefits, insurances, taxes paid on my behalf, and what's the final one? Retirement benefits. Yeah. So all of that, I can tell you the cost per person by fund and what that breakdown looks like. I wish Cassell did that for me, but instead I had to build a worksheet for it. So let's see. And then if you guys would consider giving yourselves raises, whatever that takes, I think what you do is you give it, but then it's for the next board to get in. It's been a while, so that might be something we contemplate, if not this year, maybe next year. Looking at raising them because what is it, $100 a month is really a pittance. So
I wrote that one.
96.
Has it been $100 since then?
No.
Or you just wrote that the existing
Then you
standing?
kept it, and then you couldn't vote on your
Yeah.
pay raise. It had to go to the next council person. That seemed to be fair.
That's actually standard across municipalities. So none of you would ever see this.
It's standard maybe in Colorado, but other places like that. Some of them even do it by referendum, so to go on the ballot.
Mhm.
And then municipal judge, we're still keeping her at 6,600. We recover a lot of that cost from the fines that she imposes, so it's pretty good. But that's it for like salaries and things. We did, and then in that workbook or the old packet, do I have in there? There it is. That one is what I'm looking at. Cost sharing. So this is the first year that I'm proposing or the town is proposing, since it must have been different in the past. That every employee that takes health insurance pays some portion of it. In the past, it was always 100% employee paid. We just received such a large increase in health insurance that I said, even an employee only, you're going to have to pay at least 10%, which is still really generous. I think the industry standard is 65% paid by the employer, and then that balance is made up by the employee. But at the same time, we still have to have enough employees buying into the health insurance program to stay in CEBT and receive the incredible rates that we get. So even though it was like was it 13.5% increase, something like that on average, 13% increase, we're still trying to recover some of that cost. And then I did some of that math. The total annual town cost is $229,000. The total employee annual cost is $42,000. So we're still getting there. My understanding was the reason for this increase is we're finally out of that COVID. People are actually using health insurance again, and that's kind of why the rate is an experience quotient. It goes up. It's EQ. The good news is for like my family, where we do have this family plan. My son is on a Medicaid waiver, so this insurance is secondary for whatever Medicaid doesn't pay. So far, we haven't had to use it, so that should keep that experience quotient down, at least if I am. And I don't go to the doctor ever, even though I'm told I need to go. So that's no reason not to use it. So, but we're still trying to recover some of that cost, right? So.
No, I think it's worth mentioning. I know that pay is a big thing that keeps people at jobs, but we also can't forget about benefits, culture, feeling valued, having responsibility, having townspeople not yell at you. Like, there's all of these things that I think go into keeping. So I appreciate what the leadership is doing to help encourage that staff morale, because that's a big deal. Nobody wants to work at a place that getting yelled at, where you don't have responsibilities. So that's a big part of it as well. And I know that you can't reflect those things in the budget, but it definitely is there.
Yeah, and I've heard that same feedback is it's our benefits that keep some people here, because we do offer pretty good benefits. I wish I could get more people to invest in their retirement though, so that they don't have to work till they're 78. But that's a longer discussion, down the road with employees.
Yeah, of course, can you just go ahead?
Is there a way of setting up like a medical savings plan? That's sort of a hybrid retirement. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Hey, John's trying to get it. So are you talking like a health savings account?
Well, there's different versions of it.
Oh, you're an MSA. So I'd have to look at what CBT offers, but because even though by the IRS standards we are considered a high deductible health plan, we are not a high deductible health plan. We're a PPO, and there are different things that we can and can't offer. Like I can't offer an HSA because we are a PPO. Now I can have my own personal HSA and contribute myself because that deductible is considered high deductible by the IRS standards, but it isn't. It is actually a PPO. So I'd have to look into that. But what I'd really like to encourage and maybe consider putting in front of you soon is our match. Right now, we just give 5% to every employee for their retirement plan. So whether they invest or not, we give them 5%. It's really good, right?
Yeah.
And then if they don't invest it, it just stays in the kitty?
No. So we give it to them. We have established a 401k for them, or not a 457B. we have established that for them. We're putting money into it, and it's normally going into like, based on their birth year, whatever that it is for 67 years. And so that's the fund that they automatically get placed into. I do it differently. And then I found out I was the guy that was the reason why they sent an email and a letter. It was saying, we're getting ready to get rid of the JP Morgan small equity cap because it's performing poorly. And I had most of my money invested in it. Okay, I still got an 18% return. So, but it wasn't performing as well as they'd like. So I was really happy. I check it religiously. I like to see how my investments are doing and I'll make changes. But I have that this is my bailiwick, right? Some of our guys in public works, it's not their bailiwick. Even some of our police officers, it's not their bailiwick. But our guy at Empower, Shane Squibb, is doing one-on-ones with guys. But what we need to do or consider is maybe doing a matching program where we give 3%, and then we'll go, if you go 5%, we'll match up to 5%. So, now they're at 10% instead of just the 5%. You see where I'm going with that? That's what I'm trying to maybe consider. And Shane Squibb from what is he actually? Empower Modern Financial can give us something that we can look at and then consider for implementing. But that would help like some of our 25-year employees who have maybe $18,000, in their retirement. It's like, yikes, how? So that's something to consider as well.
Yeah, but does that require like a 1040 or a 1069 or an 89 or something like that? You have to file a form with the IRS, the contributions for retirement then.
We do it every year. So
You do have to file.
yeah, so because we go through we have a plan administrator, and that's Empower. Empower's the platform, but it's Modern Financials, our administrator. They actually I get one, so they mail it out. You actually had a retirement plan. Here's what you put into it. I also get one for my HSA company because I have my own HSA, and I get something as well. We don't actually send it out. We send out what is it? W-2s? So we send out at the end of the year. We send those out, and then we show on their retirement contributions. But then Modern Financial will also send something in, a form to you as well.
So there's no tax liability to the employees on it.
It depends.
IRA, right?
Well, so I also elect to do an Roth IRA, which I can now do. What is it? 20,000. It used to be 10, but they bumped it up. So I can put that in tax free. I just take a penalty when I take it out early.
But if they don't, then it's not a tax, there's a tax penalty.
If they take it out.
I was gonna say, one of the things that a lot of our employees are a lot more in charge of their retirement now than they have been in the past. And Shane has been really good about starting to get some education out there. We have multiple workshops, hopefully with him planned over this next year, so people can start getting a little bit more with it. But they do have the option of so the town always puts into a 457B for them, which is pre-tax.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, it's pre-tax. But quite a few of our employees, they also have the option, some of them put into a Roth instead, which is an after-tax thing. So it really depends on what they want to do. Some people put into both. They actually have a lot of flexibility with what they can do with their retirement. And then we're doing our best trade now to get them the knowledge that they need so they can start doing more with it.
Well, what I'm worried about is getting our employees thrown in jail. I mean, a major concern.
That's what we have.
Give me a vacation, show me. They won't let me have my cell phone there?
So I went in the app to look at my retirement program, and my rate of return right now is 21.17%.
Okay, we just have 39.
No, I
minutes
know.
left.
Oh, sorry.
We have so
Oh, yeah,
much to
I'm
talk
sorry.
about.
I
You
get
know,
very.
it's like we gotta stay on track and
We
we
can
should
talk later.
wake a little bit so we can miss the rest of it.
Thank you.
So I just want to keep us on track.
Okay.
The only thing I was wondering is if we sell all those vehicles, will our insurance premium with Sursa go down?
The German word for that is jein. Yes and no. I say that because while we are getting rid of them, I still have to insure our side-by-sides.
Oh, so we have.
Yeah, so we're gonna take some things off and then we most likely will buy something next year that will add to it. I got a vac truck on this agenda
Yeah.
for the upcoming. I'm gonna have to insure that as well, so.
Never mind.
Yeah, sorry. And then if they buy this roller, this asphalt roller, I'll have to insure that. There's a whole lot of, we will probably see a decrease or a dip, but it won't be much. Okay,
Are we on property schedule now? Are we talking about insurances?
If you want to, yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about, as I was going through our property, what's that? I cannot remember the one former water treatment plant. Like, why is that still on here?
if it burns to the ground, we can collect on it.
And are you referring to the old, the 500 million gallon, 500,000 gallons?
Yeah, so that's what I want to, that's what I want to ask about. Is it the old water plant tank, 500,000, that's 1.1 million?
And that is just a cement trench in the
Yeah.
ground. That's all that it is. No
Yes.
roof. The roof is gone.
Oh, it's gone.
There is no roof.
It
With
just
a chain link fence around it. So yeah, why is it worth what?
because it's also, doesn't that contribute to our assets? Like, it does feel like it artificially inflates things. And do we need to go through here and actually say, okay, are we being too liberal with what our building value is?
Okay, so if you're looking at the lower water treatment plant, we colloquially call that the clock plant. To rebuild that plant, you're looking at like $3 million. And so that's why it's assessed at that. The tank is separate. That's that next line item, that 1 million gallon tank. And I guess, what are we looking at for the contributions? Yeah, we're looking at like $7,000 between the two.
On the 1 million? Oh, between the lower plant.
Yeah, $7,000 a year to insure it. It is within our water capital improvement plan to do something with that plant. Just not to make it an actual finished water treatment plant. It'll be more like a pumping station and a raw water holding tank.
So could we talk about the 500,000 gallon cement?
This old water,
The old water
plant
tank,
tank?
500.
I don't even know where that one is. Is that the one over by
Crest
Kirby
Haven.
Clocks?
It's the Crest Haven. The people are getting free trash because they keep an eye on it. And they have removed the roof. It has gone to other people's property.
Yeah.
So it is an open cement trench. It's a trough, cement, and it just has a chain link fence around it.
I mean, what we,
There's a building. I don't know what's in
yeah,
there.
there's like a shed out there. It's like a metal
Metal
building.
shed. I don't know what's in it.
It's a metal
Anyway.
building, yeah.
But I mean, I think that we do need to look at that, because if that shows up on our balance sheet, like, that doesn't feel right to me. Like, I mean, the insurance is one thing. Like, yeah, we need to have insurance there, but is it really 1.1?
Well, you can't use what Source has given us for property value and
Okay,
think that is what's on our fixed or our assets, right, for our audit,
okay,
because they've been depreciated. Source doesn't depreciate it, right? They say this is what it's gonna cost to rebuild it.
okay,
So our balance sheets are showing that I think it's almost if it's not fully depreciated, it's pretty darn close.
okay.
But that being said, if it's not functional, we have no intention of ever making it functional, we should talk about demolishing it and then removing this from our list.
And it's a piece of town property.
It is.
And it has one of the PRVs is next to it too.
There is a PRV, and that's for that whole area up top on the basin.
I think it is worth, I appreciate you saying like demolishing it, because it is a massive safety hazard. And it's like, okay, we know it's not gonna be,
Anybody climbs that chain link
yeah,
fence and
so
falls
it's
in?
like, what could that look like so we can
Yeah.
just be safe about it?
that might be a good idea for an agenda in the next few months. So that we can actually, you can give us direction to demo it. You can hear from Corey, about if he ever uses it for anything. Yeah.
It's a real easy field trip if you haven't seen it.
It's funny that I didn't realize we had a park pump house until I saw it on this list last year. And I went out to look at this park pump house and asked who has a key to it. We gotta work on that too. So.
Is this something that we can task staff with, is just going through and being like, even if it's just a gut check, like, is there anything else that just seems completely unreasonable that's like, why are you paying so much insurance when the building value isn't there?
Yes, so I've been through this list. You can direct me to do things, but if we're gonna demo it, then that would have to be a specific direction that comes from you, so then somebody can remove it, right? Is there any other questions on that property schedule? I'm glad you brought it up, because it's something we need to look at.
And did everything get paid for with Sursa? I know the premiums were due before this meeting, before the last meeting.
I believe so. You really quick.
Seems like that. Let's see that. Oh, the renewal has been submitted to CEBT, and that had to have been done earlier. Seems like Sursa. Oh, and Sursa paperwork's been submitted. Because there was a deadline.
Yeah.
For that. So
Oh,
like-
that's for renewing. Yeah, I don't believe, so what I've elected is quarterly billing. So we'll get a quarterly bill as we move forward.
But we're in, under all the deadlines.
Yes.
Those insurers.
Yeah, the only one that isn't is my bond. I tried to get out of it, and now they want me to pay it personally. I'll tell you.
When then you
Okay, then this is the vehicle schedule. Like I said, I have to add a couple more, and then once we dispose of these things, like the Easy Go, and I think, was it the Freightliner, the old, is it an International? It's one of the vehicles that we were using as a water truck, so a fire truck. Once we dispose of that, I can remove it off of here. Yeah, so this will be updated as we dispose of vehicles. Right now, I've got them insured because we still have them. That gem car, I can't believe we have it insured, but if the wastewater plant caught fire, we could collect a whole bunch of stuff. So.
Because it's sitting outside.
Mhm.
Is that the one I call a boatmobile? It's the boat. It's all white stuff.
Did you have any more questions on vehicles, anyone? Okay. But we will update this. One of the things that is on here is our street sweeper. We've gone through it many times. The thing that always goes out is the belts and pulleys. It's pretty old. It's 2007. We need to really think about getting a new one in a future year. I just don't see how we can do it this year, in this upcoming year. But it's something that everybody loves to see, the street sweeper go out, and ours leaves a big mud trail, so that's how we're supposed to do.
$105,000? That's what they cost?
Oh, no, that's maybe a 6-year-old with 10,000 hours on it.
It was about 250.
Keep going. Now they're pushing 325.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
But they're fun to drive.
Can we share
It was on my bucket
one?
list.
Very high maintenance schedule.
They are, and it's because of all the belts and the pulleys and,
And the brushes.
yes. Now, I did elect for the no fault water line rupture and sewer backup again. So this is if somebody, I don't think we had it this year, but going into 25, if there is a sewer backup or a water line break in a basement, any resident can ask to collect on this, and we have to submit a claim. Regardless of whose fault it is, It's just something that I've elected because it was so cheap. It was $1,213. So I think it was option one that we chose.
How do we notify like the citizens about that?
The reason the reason that it's so low is because we haven't. But if somebody were to call in and ask about it, we could direct them that way. As of right now, we don't have it. So it'll start in 25. And I think that's really it. So that was it for inland marine. The big changes were police department liability insurance, of course, keeps going up. That's just the nature of the service we offer. I did not submit the withdrawal notice because this is by far the cheapest inland marine and liability insurance we will ever see, no matter where we go. So, and it's getting so that CIRSA's underwriters are actually in London, not Kentucky, London, the United Kingdom. That's where CIRSA has to fly to get underwriters to back up their costs. Do you want to go back to the packet, the changes that were made for this meeting? Okay. So
I hope we get to, I want to see where the reserves will end up after capital expenses.
Yes.
So if you can leave a little time for that.
I can. Okay, so in the general fund, no changes were made to property taxes because those amendments did pass. So I'm thinking like we're going to see a significant reduction in property tax, at least a $27,000 reduction. Jess is going to be here for the next meeting. She got an application. And then let's see. One of the new things is sidewalk fee. So sidewalk fee got to stay in because it did pass. And now we can use it for new sidewalks as well. I can use it towards 5th and Grand, that realignment project. It's huge. It passed over 60%. That's pretty good. So I was happy to see that. And we're going to start seeing sidewalks coming. I'm excited for that. Short-term rental licenses, that's a new line item, 103208. I anticipate about 14,000. So the license, the short-term rental ordinance that you have on the next agenda has 40 available licenses. That doesn't matter if it's a single bedroom or a full house, there are 40, regardless of what type of short-term rental you have.
I'll ask my questions in the next meeting, sorry.
So I've come up with this number based on 22 bedrooms at $150 a pop. And so if I have 2 bedrooms that I want to rent out in my primary residence, that's $300, plus a special use review fee because I'm in an R1 zoning. So I've contemplated those revenues in here for both special reviews and short-term rental licenses, which means 18 of those licenses are expected to be for that full $500 for a whole house that might be not your primary residence. You live in Steamboat or you live in Gunnison and you've got a home here, second home that you're renting out as short-term rental, $500. So that's where those fees come. Highway user tax, I haven't heard anything else from the state to say that we're going to see more than that big reduction that I'm anticipating, going from 61,000 to 46,000 or 47,000. I think of other big things. Transfer revenue, so $2,022,258. That's from surplus. That's what everyone calls reserves. It's our surplus. This is page 12. So right now, by what I have to go off of is our fiscal year 23 audit. So Trustee Schwartz, to answer your question, to go with reserves, I have to go by what was audited. We currently have $4,455,952 in unrestricted funds across all of our funds. Pulling out $2,022,000 from both the sales tax capital improvement, sidewalk fee and our general fund reserves or general fund surplus, we would be left with $2,433,694.
Say that again, 2,400,000.
$33,694. Now, we are going to go into 2025, starting our fiscal year 24 audit in January or February. So we might have our audit done by April. Should be the first time in Paolia's history that we're not like deadline June 30th, here you go, which would allow me to say, hey, we have this much available going in. And I anticipate this being significantly higher because it already is. We see that in our budget to actuals every month, right? So.
Is all of that the reserve of the two, wait, what was that?
Oh, you can't see the calculator because it's too small.
Gosh. The transfer is basically
Yeah.
2 million. Is that all for capital improvements or is there any of that that's funding general, like just operations?
We are not doing operations with this.
Great.
This is 100%. If we don't, in the next meeting, you're going to see us asking to go for a bunch of grants. One of them being a raise grant to get the balance of the money needed for Fifth and Grand of $1.9 million. Then you'll see that go way, way down. So what this is buying is like cameras, computers, those kinds of things. It's really going towards capital outlay.
But the big capital outlay right now is Fifth and Grand.
It is.
And does this 2 million, this doesn't include water?
No, so I'll get to that one and garbage in a second. And garbage, I'm kind of not relying on the 23 audit. I'm relying on where we're at right now because we're going to have a big surplus. I'll talk about that one. I'll get there here in a second. Let's see, admin, not much changed. Nothing changed in personnel services. Nothing changed in operating. Things did change in capital outlay. And that is, let's see, treasurer's fee was already there. That's what the county takes from us. Every time they give us sales tax, they take a fee. And we recently learned that they may be taking more than what they should be. Commissioner Kuntz seems to think like for back the badge, they're supposed to take 1%. We believe they've been taking 2%. And that's been countywide. So that's something a band of municipalities are looking into with the county. But we're still budgeting for about $7,000 to be taken out from all of our sales tax. Machinery and equipment is where the cameras are coming out of. That's at 1041.74. And then also budgeting for roof replacement because as we've talked about, the roof over my office is really bad. And then Matt has a sinkhole over his office. That's part of it. And that's not a joke. It really is there. Building improvements is also, I think that's part of that roof repair as well. Okay, law enforcement. Nothing changed in personnel services. Nothing changed in operating. What did change is capital outlay. That's that machinery and equipment. That's his mobile data terminals, those laptops for squads. And then also his share of the cameras. Oh, I cut off sorry. Building. Only thing in here is legal, engineering, professional services. We have 2 contracts. One with the city of Delta for inspection services and one with Shoes Coda for building, to be our building official. So we don't pay insurance. We don't pay all this other stuff out of building. It's strictly just these contracts. Nothing changed there. Streets, this one changed. And so streets is operating. So you'll see a number of things listed under operating expenses that weren't filled into the last time I said, oops, that was an oopsie. Let's see. Repairs and maintenance. So this would be like for getting cold patch, things like that, 15,000. We've significantly reduced the amount of engineering services we'll need because we are 100% designed in Fifth and Grand. So the only thing that we'll have is like construction inspection engineering, but that's going to come out of capital outlay for the actual Fifth and Grand realignment project. Then when we go down to capital outlay, you'll see Fifth Street realignment. The reason it's not that full $2.9 million is is because a portion of that is water. It's funded out of water because it's a water line as well. Machinery and equipment, I added 25,000 in there. Actually, that's a carryover. And that was for if they wanted to get a new vehicle, if they needed something to help with street paving, that's what that's for. The grants project at 325,000. So Fifth Street realignment has its own code, but the grant project is 104575. That's that Safe Streets for All grant. It is grant funded. It's listed in general fund revenue as grant funded, but our portion of it is 75,000. That's why that outlay is more than the $250,000 grant. Okay. And we've been following grants on that budget to actual sheet. I do have 3 to add. I just couldn't figure out how to add them for this go around. They're 10,000. 2 of them are $10,000 a piece. It's for reimbursement for the project needs assessment for water and the project needs assessment that we're working on for wastewater, and then 200 to 300,000 for reimbursing us for all of the design work that's been done at phase 1. So we will receive that for reimbursement this year before December 31st for audit. So we're going to see about $320,000.
Wow, that's
So
awesome.
it's coming. I haven't added it in to our budget to actual sheet. I'll do it for next month.
But that would go in this budget?
That'll
Will
go
be
in
in the
this.
streets, or go up in revenue?
No, so that'll end up going into surplus.
Okay,
So we'll have higher surplus.
okay, good.
I'm glad to have done it. I should have done it earlier, but I'm glad to go surprise. We have more than what we thought. Parks, nothing changed in parks except for the machinery and equipment. That's for their cameras. So that's in parks now listed under 104674. And then whatever's left over, they have a serious need for a lawnmower. I'm trying to, that's why there's something in machinery and equipment and capital outlay. It's so whatever's left over, they can buy a new lawnmower instead of oh no, it'll be a 0 turn.
Like the big, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it'll be a write-off. If they had a walk behind push mower, it would take him 6 weeks to do it one time. I'd have to do it again.
A reel?
No, cannot use a reel. But we've budgeted for those things so that they can get them. Corey had been out, that's why his capital thing for in ClearGov wasn't completed. So both Corey and Nikki were out. So that's why it'll go in there eventually for the final budget, you'll see it. Water. So we had a pre-application meeting today with DOLA, where we're talking about submitting before December 2nd, another $900 or $1 million grant for EIAF Tier 2. That is to go towards our Western Water Loop Realignment Project. Dana asked us to change our project from the name of realignment to replacement because we are replacing, even though we are also realigning. Because it's better when you go before the board for that grant funding. So we are changing the name of that project to the Western Loop Replacement Project. But we're asking for $1 million to go towards the $7.2 million cost. It is stackable in addition to the $965,000 that we've already received for our water tank realignment project. So we can stack it, and we're going to go and ask for that money. But what we learned is that we will have to raise finance. So Dana asked that rather than wait until May, that I present again a 5-year thing for this year to go in December to raise our rates for usage. Our base rates are fine. It's our usage rates that need to go up, especially for things over 20,000 gallons a month. So that's coming. Yeah, he was happy to see that we had already done one, but when I said something like, we based it on a lot more water usage or water consumption than we actually use, after we did a meter audit project, he said, you're going to want to update those. So
In order to be able for them to say yes to the grant.
And then also in order for them to be able to say yes to the loan that we're applying for in January.
Which is the big.
That's the big, yeah. So that's coming. Darn it.
About the little, your little number one, where it says budget revenues differ from the 20-year cash flow analysis. Budget is in whole numbers, cash flows in the penny.
Mhm.
What do you mean by that again?
So have you may not have seen the 20-year cash flow analysis.
I did,
Oh, you did?
yeah.
So I did that based on consumption and it went by rates. And so that is to the penny. So if you get
Oh,
If you get charged a usage rate of 1678 per thousand after 15,000 gallons, that's to the penny. This one is whole numbers because it's budget. I typically put on a revenue, I tend to be lower in revenue, so I round down, and then expenses I round up. Yeah, so I have some sort of a cushion. But we're gonna have to make that change this December. Sorry.
We'll see that in the next meeting.
You sure will. Yes. And then I also have to clean up trash, because I should just say it now. Y'all passed a resolution increasing trash rates, but it's set by ordinance. You can't change an ordinance rate set with a resolution. So we're gonna have to go back and redo that ordinance and then do a resolution. So that ordinance will say, or bulk collection rates collect, as changed from time to time by resolution, and then right after that'll be a resolution. It's got to happen going into 25.
It's the only one.
It's the only one that we have to clean up. Yeah. And then wastewater rates, we're not proposing anything yet, but once we get this P&A done, we're going to know that we're going to have rates that need to go up. Or you'll start looking at a sewer district. So combining sewers with Hotchkiss or other outlying counties, and then you lose control over it, and it becomes a taxing district, and then we get an extra tax. So there's other ways to do it. I just don't like that route.
I do have a question about sanitation.
Yeah.
I know you've mentioned this idea of having like standard trash bins. Is that in there? I think because I feel like this is, I'm like, I hate this idea, but it sounds like it's just going to, this is a work session. So
Yes, you can say it.
I was wondering if there's going to be any discussion about that, or is it just a done deal?
Nothing is a done deal. However, I should let you know the number of customer complaints that we get, or the interactions that we have, the negative interactions that we have also around are because of trash. And it's because some people may be paying for that lesser amount, and then they have 6 trash bins.
And I don't need to do this debate
Yeah.
what it is now. I just think it's worth having a discussion at a future meeting. And I know you've talked about this many times, but
Yeah. And so the idea.
It's gonna get a lot of people complaining if we go this route too.
Well, and so the idea is it's no longer that you have your personal trash can. Now it's a town trash can that if we beat up, we're going to fix it, right? And so instead of my trash lid, they threw my trash lid away, or on a windy day, it's that trash lid is attached, and it's not going anywhere. And so there'll be 2 sizes: 35 gallons. That's for that lower, lesser amount. And then a 90-gallon trash can for anyone that's paying higher. And so if they want, if some people have 5 or 6 trash cans, they'll get 2 90-gallon bins. So I can track it. I know whose bin belongs to who. That part of our code that is archaic that says you have to put your address on your trash cans wouldn't be an issue anymore.
I think that there's also a discussion about, are there ways that we can reduce trash? Because what I'm hearing is this is going to increase trash. And so that's the discussion I'm more interested in having, is what can we do to help reduce the amount that goes into the landfill through recycling, through compost, through waste reduction, and not being like, oh, let's make it easier for you to generate more trash. So I feel pretty passionate.
No, I understand. And I think it'll be interesting to see if it really does increase trash, or we just have a better understanding of how much trash we're actually picking up. But what we also need to do is look at going into 25 and applying for a CDPHE technical assistance grant to help us understand what it would take to start a recycling program, to start what we've talked about in the past for a compost plan, and they could give us an idea on how to implement it. That would go in conjunction with this. There's no way with this budget passing, I would still have to get quotes to find trash cans, to purchase, and then it's not like they'd show up immediately. We're 6 to 7 month implementation at a minimum. So, but we do certainly need to go for a CDPHE technical assistance grant. It's what came up in our comprehensive planning meetings as well as doing some sort of
Question, more of a historical question. One point, we lived in town and they set up large dumps at the city park and everybody was allowed. It was after a storm, but they just kept doing it for a long time.
I believe you are talking about the cleanup days that I have not budgeted for, contemplated in the 25 budget.
Does that save? Is that more expensive or does it save on labor?
What we found was that it was much more expensive because people are throwing away electronics, and then we can't take those to the landfill. And so then the town gets stiff with the bill because it's hazardous materials.
So it was more expensive.
It's more expensive.
I just want to clarify.
We need a 5-minute break. There's 2 minutes.
Okay, almost done. So sanitation was one of them, wastewater. What did we do? There was we contemplated stuff for like cameras in all of these funds. And then I wanted to show you water really quick that what?
Page 81.
19.
Okay.
I went back up to 19.
Thank you.
So raw water metering is contemplated in this budget. It's grant funded. Capital outlay is cameras and things like that. That's budgeted. Water tank realigning is its own fund. West Loop Improvement Project, which we now have to call the West Loop Replacement Project, is its own. Water Smart is in there, and then machinery and equipment or cameras. So it's all there. But then what was it? It was capital outlay, that 111,000. That's for Fifth and Main as Fifth and Grand as well. Okay, that was it.
What are our next steps with the budget? We have to have it done by the 15th of December?
So my plan, unless you want to have another workshop, is December 12th, you'll get a packaged budget with our capital improvement plan, our water capital improvement plan, all of the narratives that show this is the admin department, here's how many employees we have, here's how many employees we're proposing to increase or decrease. Those cover sheets, all of that will be put together. We'll also include your strategic plan that with these SWOT analyses on what guided us. Unless you want to have another workshop, which we can very well do.
I feel pretty comfortable with what we have in front of us. I know you're going to add in more to that first page. I'm kind of okay with it.
And by that time, I'll have a final number from the assessor's office on what our property tax will be. I don't anticipate it going down because I went really conservative on that lower.
I don't think everybody though. I'm in agreement.
So December 12th, I'll have a packaged budget for you in that agenda packet. And we can go from there.
You're good with that too?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, all right, 5-minute recess. Oh,
No, you're good.
Okay.
So, all right. You okay? No, the airport. So that's what's up on the screen right now. I think you had a question on the airport.
I'm just anti-airport. Bring it out.
But you can see that, like, this is money that we had in reserves. It's money that was specifically collected for the airport. And what we're looking at is paying for the design for the apron next year based on what we've received. I've been working to try to get that cell tower to get T-Mobile on it.